They got Willa. They got my daughter. I need to find her.
From acclaimed director Paul Thomas Anderson.
You can save that girl.
Today, experience what is being called the best movie of the year.
This is the end of the line. Not for you.
Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, Benicio del Toro, Tiana Taylor, Chase Infinity.
Let's go!
One battle after another. Now playing only in theaters. Experience it in IMAX. Rated R. Under 17 animated without parent.
You can't hide.
Finish training for the day? Time to fight post-workout fatigue with Core Power Protein Shakes. They're packed with 26 grams of high-quality protein to build muscle and electrolytes to help hydrate. The nutrition you need to help your body replenish, rebuild, and repair post-workout so you can power on to the next one. Champion your recovery with Core Power. Visit corepower.com to learn more.
Wish you could become a morning person? You know the type, up before the sun, early morning runs, first one to the office with donuts and a smile. How do they do it? Easy. With the new Galaxy Watch 8, sleep tracking and personalized insights from Samsung Health help you improve so you can wake up to a whole new you. One who, dare I say it, skips the snooze? It's possible. Train your sleep with Galaxy Watch 8. Learn more at Samsung.com. Requires compatible Samsung Galaxy phone, Samsung Health app, and Samsung account.
Hello everyone and welcome to How Are the Podcast. It's Gav and you join us from the pub after the match. A well-earned point for Sunderland. Some might say we actually deserved a little bit more. I think we might get into that and we'll talk about some of the detail of the game. I'm joined first and foremost by Ant Waterson. Hello mate.
Hello mate, yes, absolutely shattered after that. I feel like I've played.
I know. We're all a bit tired and weary, aren't we? We've also got Neil Graney with us. Hello mate.
Hello mate, plenty to talk about I guess. Yeah. Get stuck in.
Yeah, it was, what a performance. That's one that feels like a win. I'm so proud of the team today. They were unbelievable. I was talking to a lad in the queue there and he was saying like, it was really frustrating the fact we got the red card. And it was. I was so pissed off for Ronaldo. And, you know, those things happened, but he didn't need to do it. But the best thing about it was that we didn't sulk. We just cracked on. And there was a tackle from Mukiele and Hume minutes later. And you're looking at it and you're like, they're up for this. It's almost as though we were kind of relishing the fact that we'd went down to 10 men. And the team shape was unbelievable. We were organised. And then you look and you're going, actually, this is probably more difficult for Villa now that we've went down to 10 men than it was when we had 11. But, you know, such a spirited performance. We did everything right, apart from obviously Ronaldo's decision to get himself sent off and what have you. But, you're so proud coming out of there. And that's all we want. We want to see a team that grafts like, and that's, we've built a team. I've said this to me mates stood there. I said, we've built a team which almost seems to get off on working hard and grafting.
Definitely, I think that kind of the whole 90 minutes, we just didn't stop, did we? There were players there who just kind of move. You know what I mean? Like Siddiqui, bless him, he obviously had to go off a cramp, didn't he, near the end? And he just didn't stop, did he? And the fact
Wilson Isidor as well.
Yeah, exactly. They just ran themselves into the ground. That's all you want, and that's what these fans, when you see stuff like that, obviously the red card and all that, we had to get behind them and stuff. But even after that, we looked the team more likely to score. Didn't we? In the second half, and there were set plays, the long throws, which have become such a weapon as well. And we had Villa really, really panicking at the back. And then obviously they've went and scored for me against the run of play. But the fact that we found that character and that drive to get an equaliser, I think that goes to show what this team's made of. The season's going to be long and there is going to be difficult periods. But I think when you look back on results like this, 1-0 down, 10 men, one player down, 1-0 down to it, Villa are a good side, but the European football side, they were 5th, 6th last season. In fact, we found the character and drive to come back. I think when you look at that at the end of the season, that's going to be the results that keep us in this league. And to be honest, I'm thinking now, how high can we finish, to be honest, because we're just being outstanding. You know what I mean? It's just summed us up this season, that 90 minutes.
Well, I said to one of my mates, Neil, walking out the ground, I said, I'm confident in this belief. I do not think we'll go down. I've just got so much. I've seen enough in 5 games to say that is not a team that's gonna fold and struggle and mentally break. It's not.
Yeah, I think we saw today how competitive the squad is and also how together they are. So to be so competitive. Dan Neil, 5th sub, first appearance of the season, to be that kind of competitive, but also together in terms of the mentality and so on. It's absolutely huge. And a lot's been said about Villa before about how poor a start they had. The Champions League team, that team qualified for the Champions League and did fairly well in it. And we made them look ordinary. And I know other teams perhaps have. I think it's been much documented about how Villa can't score goals, but actually they've always been strong at the back, and they looked really, I mean, we put them under so much pressure and we look so strong and physical, and it's like a different team. Obviously, it is a different team, but I think the mentality of the whole club's different as well. And I agree. I'm not so worried. I'm not getting carried away. I'm not too worried about us kind of, can we stay up? It's a given for me, and it's kind of how much better can we get as we go through the season.
The from the off, and we were up for it, and I did the preview pod with Jacob Tanswell from The Athletic, who writes about Aston Villa for The Athletic, and he was saying to me kind of things which I actually said this to him. I said, all these things you're saying to me are making me feel more worried about the game, because you're actually telling us things I should be wanting to hear. You were telling us that they don't like battling, they're poor on second balls, poor on winning headers. Just, maybe don't have that fight that you expect from a top team. And I'm listening to this and I'm going, I should be like really buzzing by him saying all these things. And anyways, I said to me mates like today again, we've got them scars as Sunderland fans, so I've seen enough of Sunderland over the years to be like, oh well, like even today, they got the first goal of the season against Sunderland. That was a given, wasn't it? But like, I've got them scars from years of being a Sunderland fan, of having watched teams which would fold in situations where you should win the game or you should take advantage of their misfortune. And actually today, everything Jacob told us came true to a degree, because I don't remember them until probably the last 10, 15 minutes. I barely remember them winning a second ball. We won everything. Xhaka was immense. Siddiqui was immense. You go right through the team, but the battle, Wilson Isidor, I've never seen him play like that. Never seen him battle, and he won so many headers. The goal was, it was just wanting it more than I think it was Esri Konsa, wasn't it, the centre half? And I'm watching that and I'm like, these are qualities that not every team have got. Aston Villa, for all intents and purposes, with their squad, looking at, go right through that team, right? There's about 200, 300 million pounds, if more, worth of players on the pitch and bench. And you're watching it and you're going, our centre forward costs £3 million, and he's out fighting an England international centre half to the ball. That's the difference. That's why when I say I just don't feel like this team will go down, it's because of that. I think there's going to be lots of games where we come up against teams like Villa, who for all intents and purposes should be better than Sunderland, and over the 90 minutes they just don't want it as much as we do, and that fight's been on display every single game this season. Maybe Burnley was maybe a bit of an exception, given that was their first game of the season at home and they were as up for it as we were. But other than that, I just think we've shown those characteristics in every single performance this season, and we seem to be getting better at it.
Yeah, I mean, if you were like, watching football for the first time, watching the Premier League for the first time today, you wouldn't have been able to kind of choose which one was the established Premier League side who have qualified for Champions League and European Cups and everything like that, and who was newly promoted. And that's, I think, the biggest compliment I can give for them today. They looked like they belonged in this division. The fact that they just did not stop. Like any team, and we've seen it countless times as Sunderland fans, when, the going gets tough, they don't want to be there. And this is just different now. It's completely different. I think we need to kind of stop thinking about, the dark days and stuff like that, because I could just see now everything just being excellent, because the fact that you've got players on there who are willing to run through brick walls. In fact, some of them did today. You know what I mean? I think if you'd asked Siddiqui to run through that brick wall, he'd have done it today, and he was outstanding. You've said there's probably a couple of like Trey Humility, the amount of like tackles he put in, and they were really on the edge, weren't they? But they were fantastic tackles.
I don't know who it was. He crunched and left in a heap. Was it Rodgers?
Yeah.
Oh, what a tackle
exactly.
that was!
I mean, it led to their goal, but it was a corner goal. But the fact he put 2 or 3 of them in, he just would not stop. When Ballard came on with flying through tackles, and bear in mind he's just come back from injury. And Neil mentioned before, Dan Neil coming on, and even him getting involved in free kicks, smacking straight through people. And this is a lad who was captain last year, and you've probably got every right to be a little bit sulky, but the fact he's come on and he's wanting to do that for this club, because he's going to be counted on at some point this season, where he's going to have to play with his injury suspensions. African Cup of Nations. The fact that is so good to see that every single one of them are willing to fight for this football club, and it's immense, man. It was just class. It's just sort of like you've just said before, the amount of pride I feel in that after that performance is immense. Like
it's even at the end of the game, then you saw the support. Like, majority of people stayed back, singing "Wise Men Say" as loud as we did. There was everyone's in this together, aren't they? We've just seen our team draw a game 1-1. I've seen millions of 1-1 draws, and I've never seen one celebrated like that.
Yeah. I think what drives that is the belief that we could get something for it. At half time, I said to the lads around me, I was like, we could easily get something out of this. And it's just down to the mentality, but also the physicality that we got, how we can get around the pitch. I mean, you mentioned Siddiqui. Absolutely no wonder he had cramp at the end, because I'd love to know how far he ran today. And he does it so intelligently as well. We are a young team still. We are probably the youngest team. But the way that we dealt with that, yes, the likes of Xhaka and so on kind of marshal that. But they all knew the roles. I noticed at half-time, the subs even went in at half-time. They all obviously were well drilled by the coaches. And they just don't stop. They don't stop for each other. It's just a kind of natural given that they work for each other. And that's what got us through today. We were always going to create chances, particularly on kind of set plays, particularly the long throws. They didn't look certain, and that's where we got the goal from in the end. But yeah, the maturity that we show for such a young team is unreal. Like,
and just on the chances we had, Ant, we didn't have loads and loads. We didn't create loads from open play. But I actually felt when we were even, when it was 11v11, I feel like we looked the more threatening team, and I feel gutted for Chris Rigg, to be honest, because I thought he started the game brilliantly. There's a couple of little bits of quality where because when the teams came out, you will have all had the same reaction as me. There was rumours about Diarra being injured, so I half expected him not to play. But we all saw kind of Rigg on the team sheet, and we were like, oh, right, Rigg, really? Not out of anything sort of negative. It just, I wasn't expecting it, to be honest. And I thought you acquitted yourself brilliantly. He was gutted when he came off. Like he was just he was collateral, wasn't he? He couldn't really do anything about it. And he comes off and there's a bottle in front of him and he boots the bottle away. And I felt really, really sorry for him. But I thought that's the thing, right? I think Neil kind of touched on this before. Like, and Hume and Isidor are the same. These players we've signed are so good. They've brought the level up of everybody. And even Chris Rigg, and we're getting assaulted by a wasp again. This happens every time we set out here. Rigg, like Isidor, like Hume, has improved as a result of being surrounded by better footballers. And I just thought that, in terms of chance creation, I thought we were, even with 10 men, I still felt like we were the more likely to score. And we hit the bar straight after half time, practically, didn't we? With Alderete, that was a great header. I'm gutted that never went in. He beat the keeper. It was
so lies in my fantasy team.
Yeah, and that was probably the big chance we didn't take. But the one we did score from was a brilliant weighted header by Granit Xhaka, who for me today was just sublime. That's why that's why we're not going down. We've got him in midfield. If he stays fit, Jesus Christ, what a player. But he plays a lovely weighted header into the path of Isidor, and he's got to battle and fight for it. And there was even part of us looking at it thinking, has he maybe fouled Conte just because he used his hands to kind of hold him off a little bit? But thankfully it stood. And there was other chances from open play where I thought Tolby, when he moved on the left, that's his best game for Sunderland, and vindication for the manager sticking by him, because there's been. He was even asked about it in his press conference this week about Talby, and there's a lot of fans not seemingly convinced by him. I have to say, I did suspect he would be better on the left, just given the way he plays. But he was great, and again shows that trust the manager's got in him. But right across that attack, I just think we created. We didn't create loads of chances, but the quality of the chances we did create were good. And again, that's a pleasing sign that we find ways to score goals. We've got goals in us. That's another thing that you've got to have when you're trying to stay in the Premier League.
Yeah, and the fact that we've got a striker who's firing, isn't that's his third goal of the season, albeit at home, so that's good for him. I agree with you going all the way back to the Chris Rigg point. I really agree with that. I think it was probably the right decision to take him off, because obviously it was either him, Lafia, or Talby, and I think Lafia and Talby just give you that more when you're trying to counter-attack and everything like that. But
I just think positionally it was the only sub that made sense. It was
a defender under your eye, and it made us look more strong at the back as well, didn't it? But Riggy was excellent. I thought he was, that's his Premier League debut. I thought he was outstanding. First started, and I thought he was excellent. So I want him to be doing that. I want him to kick bottles off the pitch when he's getting subbed by that. That's what you want. Because it shows that he cares. But I think the chances created, it was a game of very few, wasn't it? It was, an attritional game. But even the half chances, the Alderete header, if that goes in, that's probably one of the goals of the season. The fact he got that much power on that, to generate the power on that header, it was a fantastic effort. Even, our throw-ins, as I said, that's become more of a weapon. I think Isidor tried acrobatic, didn't he? Like a scissor kick went over the bar, but we did look, even though we were down to 10, we looked the most likely, and that's probably one of the most praising parts about the day is that we did. It was just the fact we still outfought a team who had a numerical advantage and are obviously, a decent side as well. So, fair play to them.
Probably should talk about the red card, Neil. Really annoying. Really, Ronaldo is an experienced player. He should know better than to do that. I've seen it back, and it's actually pretty tame. It's not as bad as I thought it was. You kind of tell, because there was no real reaction from the Villa players either. They sort of, when something like that normally happens, you get, and especially we'll get on to the refereeing and stuff, but the way that they sort of corralled the ref.
Anyone can follow. It takes something special to be an original, which is why the 2025 Lincoln Navigator SUV arrives with new ways of surrounding you in luxury, including the ultra-wide 48-inch panoramic display and the multi-sensory Lincoln Rejuvenate experience. A true original never stops evolving. So meet the 2025 Navigator, the original that's all new and better than ever. Learn more at Lincoln.com. Lincoln and Navigator are trademarks of Ford or its affiliates.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Are your business expenses playing hide and seek? With Uber for Business, the small spends that slip through the cracks, like rides and meals, go right where you need them. Because it integrates with leading expense platforms, you can say goodbye to surprise costs, missing dollars, or chasing receipts. Everything's track downable. Uber for Business. Make small steps that make a big impact. Learn more at uber.com/small steps.
Instantly, you would have expected them to do it, but they didn't. They just picked the drinks bottles up and went in for a team talk while they sorted it out. But Ronaldo, he's so frustrated. We're going to lose him for 3 games now, and yeah, we've got good players, but he put us in a stupid position there by a moment of madness that there was nothing in it. There was nothing. There was no real reason for him to do what he did, and I'm sure he's went into the dressing room and apologised to his teammates, and kind of they'll accept his apology, and they know he's a good lad and that. But that could have went so wrong for us at a time when I felt we were the better team.
Yeah, you get these late challenges sometimes, and you get stamped on the toes, or you get your ankle done. Or so. Looking back on it, there was nothing in it from the tackle from Cash. To be honest, he has gone in really late, but you expect better from a kind of a experienced player to just kind of hold your head and just kind of not react really. So yeah, it's one we've got to take, especially with VAR as well. I said to the boy, I was like, even if he doesn't send him off, VAR's going to send him off. It didn't help that he got him square in the nuts as well. So yeah, he did hurt him, and we need to learn from it. And I guess these kind of scenarios test the squad depth, because obviously someone comes in now, and hopefully fits in. I think going back to Talby, I think he did absolutely the best game for the club today, easy. He shows the maturity beyond his years in terms of, and I know he's been criticised for not taking his man on and so on, but I think he's in the team because he retains the ball so well, and he did that exactly. That's exactly what we needed from him. And I think when we did go a goal down, what he did do is get us forward in the pitch. He come out himself a little bit and got us forward. But yeah, no excuses for the red card. I think in any league, even with VAR, without VAR, it's a red card. So we just got to take it on the chin like you say, he'll apologise and we move on. So, yeah.
Yeah, we've, like I said earlier, we kind of moved on very quickly from it. You got the hint from just the way that Mukiele and Hume dove into tackles and then were G'ing the crowd up as a result. I love that, by the way. Every time we win something, it's conscious by the players. It's like, get them fans on side. If you win a throw in, they're going to roar when you throw your arms up, and it's like, yeah, I love that. But we reacted so well to going down to 10 men. And as I said before, I actually think Villa, it was a worst case scenario for them. I was like saying to the lads I was with, I was saying, you think about it, right? They're desperate for a goal. They're not creating chances. This is a game they have to win, really. Villa have to get started at some point. They've got to win a game of football. They're playing a promoted team. That put lots of pressure back onto them, and they folded. They were shite. Honest, I'd be, if I was a Villa fan, I'd be worried, really worried that the manager and that group of players, they can't even. They didn't want it as much as we did today, and against 10 men, they didn't look. They didn't look like the team with 11 men, and that's perhaps the biggest. I suppose the biggest compliment you can pay to our players is that was the case. But for a group of players like the Aston Villa players, and it's startling. I would be very, very concerned if I was them that they just can't seem to get going, and that was a real opportunity. They'll not get many opportunities like that this season where they play over an hour against 10 men. And again, credit our players for kind of responding as well as they did.
Yeah, exactly. And as we said a couple of times, we still looked the most likely before their goal. We still looked as if we were the ones who had 11 players and we were the ones who were pushing. I agree with you about Villa. And I've watched Villa quite a few times. I really like Ollie Watkins as a striker. I think he barely touched the ball today, did he? He was so well marshalled by.
I think it was Jacob on the preview who told us he had one touch in the last game. Was it Palace that played?
Yes.
No, that was us who played Palace. I can't remember who they played last, but anyways, it was Everton. Sorry, he'd had one touch of the ball, so yeah, there's obviously an issue there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like he was just well marshalled by Ballard and Alderati and that. And yeah, I mean, they didn't have much, did they? There was like the little ball they were trying to do over the top, which we dealt with so easily, and then they didn't have any plan Bs. And the fact that they've scored due to like a long range effort, which Roof should be doing better, but it is what it is. It's football in it. But they still haven't created that many chances. They haven't really, bar that one at the end where the cross missed everybody. You would think that's a really good opportunity. And this is, against a team with 10 men, nearly promoted side, who were absolutely out on the feet by the last 5-10 minutes. So, I think long term, I don't think they're going to be anywhere near the top 6, which I think was probably what the blueprint for the season would have been, try and get in that top 6. So worrying times for them, I think, but again, for us, just tremendous. And it gives us that little gap over them. We've still got, I think we've gained a point on West Ham, we've gained a point on Wolves, who got beat yesterday. So it's just creating that gap to the bottom sides, which at this early stage, you're still counting on them getting 4 more points, 6 more points of what we're going to get. And you can't be safe, can you?
Well, it's your home form that keeps you up, ultimately. If you're going to stay in the Premier League, you've got to win a lot of home games. You've got to pick a lot of points up at home. And we've picked up a lot of points at home. You can't say any fairer than what we've managed to achieve so far. Just on the goals, as Kazan mentioned it there, I love Robin Roofs. I actually think he had a really good game. There was a couple of moments there was that one where they had 2 men offside, I think, and he stood up 2 brilliant saves in the first half. And it wasn't, everyone knew it was offside, but he still got a big reaction from the crowd because they were both outstanding saves. He's such a good keeper, but I haven't had the chance to see it back properly. We were talking about this when we were walking in, Neil. Neither of us have really had the chance to see it back properly. You mentioned that Martin in our group chat had said it was just a really good shot. So if that's the case, then fair enough. But to be honest, that was the only way they were going to score, I think, from long range. They couldn't carve us open because we were so tight at the back.
Yeah. And I think that's why they resorted to long range shots. And I've seen one angle, the kind of live angle. I haven't seen any replays. And it's probably one of them where he's gone in the changing room and he's disappointed that he hasn't saved us. But I don't think it's a complete howler. My instant reaction wasn't kind of, oh, he's got to save that, or kind of what's happened there, or I think back, sorry, Anthony Patterson, but I think back Patterson's mistake at that end last season where it was a complete howler. I don't think that was. I think it was just it's a good strike. It's come through lots of players. I'm not making excuses, but there's maybe sun in his eyes as well. I think it just boils.
To be fair, I did think that.
Yeah. I think it just boils down that he'll go in and say, sorry lads, I should have done better, but I don't think it's a complete howler. And I think it's basically we're questioning that because of the high standards that he set in the first 4 or 5 games, where we don't almost he's unbeatable at times. So for a long range shot to go past him, where we kind of hopeful of picking up a point, I think it's just that natural reaction that we're disappointed. But yeah, I think looking back, he'll be disappointed. But at the same time, it's a great shot. There's lots of swerve on it as well, so it is what it is.
Yeah, our goal though, I mentioned it before. Great by Xhaka and great by Isidor, and just on Isidor, and he's really, really embracing this season. And you've got to, haven't you? Because for all intents and purposes, coming into the season, he was second choice behind Mayenda. Yeah, we've went out and signed a striker for 20-odd million quid. So it's either sink or swim with these players, right? You've got to either go out there when you get the chance and take it, or you sink and you disappear and somebody else takes your place in the team. And I just think it's indicative of the pervading attitude of this squad is that like they're all really bought in. And Wilson Isidor does not fail to see the opportunity in front of him. He might, if it doesn't go well for him this season, well, it's going brilliantly, but if it doesn't go well for him this season, he might never play in the Premier League again. Do you know what I mean? Like, you quite easily see a situation where a player doesn't take their chances, doesn't get in the team, someone else does, end the season, he goes out on loan abroad or gets a move abroad, and he'd probably never get back into the Premier League. He'd probably, mull around leagues abroad. Whereas you get this feeling with Isidor, he sees the opportunity in front of him, particularly in the home games. I mean, his form in the Stadium of Light's been, you said before, 3 goals. And, had one chance today and took it again. He seems to just get a handful of chances, maybe 1 or 2 chances a game, and he seems to be finding the back of that. But it was such a good finish because, if Konza had wanted it that little bit more, he probably doesn't get to the ball. Isidor makes that work, and it's, like I said, Granit Xhaka does fantastic. But Wilson Isidor, I think you saw how much he milked the applause and the celebration after. It took him ages to get back to the centre circle, didn't it? But he absolutely loves it. And I mean, how many times down the years have you watched Sunderland and wished that every player had that attitude? He's got such a he's such an asset. We talk about 09 being an asset to Sunderland and his attitude, and we've kind of forgotten him to an extent because he's not been in the team. You don't really see that personality on the pitch, but like you do with Wilson Isidor, he's got so much personality. And like, I want every single Sunderland player to love it as much as he does.
You do, 100%. And you're right about the finish. It's probably not like, if it had gone wide or hit the post or whatever, it's not a sitter, is it? It's a difficult opportunity, and he puts it away brilliantly. And credit to him because, at the start of the season, you're probably thinking he's going to be on the bench mostly with Mayenda, and then we've obviously signed Robbie, and you're probably thinking might be, limited time for him. But the fact that in the cup game, I thought he played really well, and he went out on the left, didn't he, in the second half? I thought he played really, really well there. And then his chances come off, obviously off the bench against Brentford, got us the winning goal, started since. What I thought was him today, and he last season, he was very easy for him to go down and won free kicks, and which weren't free kicks. He was throwing himself to the floor. Didn't do that once today. Didn't do that one. Just stood up strong against, Andre Constantine, and Mings in it, who are big, strong players, good Premier League players, England nationals. And
well, that's kind of the point. He's playing against the best of the best now. So he wants to challenge, like good players want to challenge themselves. He's like, I'm playing against like England international defenders here. I want to prove I'm as good as they are.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact as well today, his hold-up play was good, a lot better than what it had been. The fact he was winning a lot of headers. Like, up against Mings, he was flicking a couple on, and a couple of times I don't think Lafay and Talby were kind of thinking it was going to happen. They weren't gambling on it, but he was winning. He won a lot a day, and over the moon he scored. As you said with the celebration, milk it in. He's probably still on the pitch now. You know what I mean? But milk that in, and it was a really, really important goal. That's 3 goals already this season from him. You're thinking there if he can get 10, 12. That's a really, really good return from him. And he's got to be aware that obviously we've got Mayenda and Robbie who are ready to come in, who can obviously score goals as well. So the fact he keeps on doing it, he's probably going to be in the team next week against Forest. Well done again. And as you said, you just want every single one of them players to be like what Wilson Isidor's like. He's embraced it. He loves it. He's got the club. He's got what this is all about, and we love him for that too.
Yeah, we kind of. Not to be negative. It's not negative, but I think if I was going to be a little bit picky today, Neil, I would say the last 10 minutes. I don't think we looked after the ball well enough. It was getting pumped forward to Mayenda. It was coming straight back. And I thought we put a little bit pressure on ourselves to defend then. But I kind of get it too, because we were tired. You saw Isidor was blown out of his arse after he scored. Siddiqui went off a cramp. And I hadn't even noticed it. My mate was the one who said, I think Siddiqui's struggling. I was like, really? He's just like sprinting about like a madman there. But people were noting it. And it wasn't just them two. There were even Xhaka, to be honest. Xhaka never stopped running. And you could kind of tell it was a couple of times, I think got booked actually just through being a little bit slow to the ball just because he was tired. But if I was going to pick out any negative, really, it would maybe be we didn't look after the ball particularly well at the end. But, again, credit to them, because defensively our shape was brilliant. And I said before, they brought on Harvey Elliott, they brought on Jadon Sancho, they brought on Donyell Malen. That's about 150 million quid's worth of players right there in terms of fees. I don't know, something along those lines. But, that's the quality of player that we're competing against. And these were things we were worried about last season when we were talking about the prospect of promotion. It was like, well, if you get promoted, you're going to be coming up against, like, every single team's got quality in it. And that's one of the most pleasing aspects to me, is that I come away from this today, I'm so proud of the team, but we look every bit a Premier League team. And, I saw Sancho on the ball today, and he was like, he's trying to work and fashion a chance. And like, it's Trey Hume sizing him up, right? And this is Trey Hume, who we've had from League One. And those were the worries we had. Like, are these players going to be good? They are good enough. That's the most reassuring thing coming away from it. I actually, my mate said that's the best result of the season. I would be inclined to agree, to be honest.
I think the one concern I would have over the season, and I'm contradicting myself a little bit because I've got no concerns that will still, but I think the intensity in our play, both at a match-to-match level and kind of a season-long level, will mean that actually we may get a little bit tired, or we may look a little bit tired at times, and that may mean that we sit back a little bit. I think that's the importance of rotating the strikers as well. Obviously, Mayenda started the season. Isidor came on, scored a couple of goals. I think that I said, going back to Isidor, I said last season, I think we'll see kind of his quality shine more in the Premier League, where he's not getting kind of roughed about as much as he does in the Championship. He's a natural finisher. He's an instinctive finisher. And we've seen from all his goals so far that it's been instinctive, as opposed to kind of working his socks off for those chances as well. But yeah, I think we did sit in naturally. We were tired. We did sit in a little bit more than what we should do, I guess. But with 10 men, it's a struggle to kind of... Yeah, I think it's important to point that out, because there will be times where we maybe will lose that. I go back to Watkins' header. It was probably as easy to score than kind of miss, but it kind of sums up his kind of form at the moment. So yeah, I think all in all we got away with one, but yeah, I think that intensity in our play naturally will mean, even at home, we'll be kind of come on the back foot towards the end of games. But we've seen out the result, and that's an important sign. If you kind of win the majority of your home games and draw your away games, or vice versa, then you'll be kind of saved by Easter, really. So yeah. Long may it continue.
Yeah, well, we'll wrap it up there, lads. We've got a more in-depth look at the game. I might even be on that one. I can't remember or not. I'm on that many podcasts at the minute. But we are being joined by Phil Smith of the Sun and Echo, so that pod will be out tomorrow, hopefully. So yes, just a great... I'm glad I've been able to sit and have a beer and just feel chilled about it. It's like,
it's getting a bit cold now, though.
Yeah, it's getting cold, so we're gonna escape now. But thank you very much, listeners. We've like to say we've got another pod out tomorrow. Pods every single day on How We Are the Podcast, so make sure you get subscribed. Also check out rotoreport.sbnation.com for all of our post-match coverage of the game. Just need to say thank you very much, lads. Thank you very much, listeners. We'll see you later.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.